came across him from Kane. So he really, really wanted us to interview Mr. Ed Fisher. Now, Mr. Ed, the way I'm thinking it, you want to talk about what's going on with election integrity. Come on in, sir. Hey, Dave, bring him on. Hey, Ed, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Lucretia. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yes, sir. Anything that has to do with our election and when we're gonna get rid of these stupid machines and get back to paper ballots, let's do it.
Uh, it sounds good to me. We got all kinds of problems with the machines, and fortunately, Tulsi Gabbard informed the nation yesterday
Mm-hmm.
or the day before that at the cabinet meeting that we really, have an issue with those, according to intelligence documents, right? So that's gonna break the logjam, I think.
You really do, even though there was a 3-day convention out there in Las Vegas, and they was hacking into the Dominion vote machines all weekend long. So if we know that they are connected to the internet, we know that you can do a lot of things over the internet. Why can't we just get rid of the machine when we know that the software on the inside is coming obsolete next year? Why do we need to reload these things when they're not secure at all?
There are forces that don't want to change, Lucretia, and we need to fight those things. So, well, let me introduce myself a little bit
Yes,
to
sir.
your audience. Okay, I'm going to. Do you mind if I share something?
No, you go ahead and share it.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
Dave is doing it now.
All right. Can you see this?
No, sir. I don't. We don't see anything. Do you see anything, Dave? No, sir.
All right. Okay. Let me try sharing again.
Okay.
Ah, now I think we have a shot.
Yes, sir. Okay, I do see that.
Okay, and I'm going to make this full screen. Okay, how does that look?
Yes, sir. I can read it.
Okay, I'll just start by introducing myself, then I'll introduce the activities that we have. And I have about 15 minutes, is that right, Lucretia?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, great. So, this is my background. I have degrees in engineering from West Virginia and Purdue, and I'm currently in West Virginia, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. So
Okay.
I've had a lot of experience in IT, and that's really helping us in the group because we have several IT people in our group, to dive into these issues that we have in our election systems. Most of that was consulting, but I was an enterprise architect for Dell for several years. All right, that's enough about me. Um, and again, thanks for inviting me to speak tonight.
Yes, sir.
So, for the past several years, my wife and I and our family, we lived in New England, and then we came back to West Virginia because originally from Pittsburgh and went to West Virginia University. So we really like West Virginia a lot. So we came back in 2020 during COVID. And so I kept listening to a lot of different podcasts, and just became very familiar with all of the fraud that was taking place in our elections, especially in 2020. But we've had problems in the United States since 2000, right? Clint Curtis, who testified to Congress, said that he was approached by a Speaker of the House in one of our states to create software that had an algorithm in it that he could basically manipulate an election to be a 51-49 result. And so the a lot of the documentation and evidence that I've seen says that we're continuing to do that. All right, so as a result of that, I became very interested in to tell you the truth, I'm retired in a sense from private industry, but I have kids and I have grandkids, right? And
Yes.
so I wanted to do something that would help them because the country that I grew up in, during the last several years, is just not the same country. So and one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, to make this happen and to bring our country back, is to have elections that are transparent and secure. So in 2023, I founded the group Citizens for West Virginia Election Integrity, and it's just a group of volunteer citizens. We're statewide in West Virginia, and our backgrounds are cybersecurity, IT. We have a former county clerk. So you need all those skills to be effective in approaching election integrity.
Okay.
So what did we do? So our approach has been to now, this is different from some other states. And the reason it's different is because we have 90% Republicans in this state and 10% Democrats. Now, some of those Republicans are, um, that they're not, you might consider them what they call as a rhino.
Yes.
But still, we have a good opportunity in West Virginia to make significant change. So, rather than fight with everybody initially, because we're aware of fraud. Um, West Virginia has fairly good elections compared to other states, but one reason that we have good elections is because we're not a swing state and we only have four electoral votes. So that means that some of the bad actors don't actually come after us. It doesn't mean we're not vulnerable, but it means we're not the focus of some of the most ardent efforts out there. So we decided to start by engaging all of the election officials, the legislature, the Secretary of State, county clerks, in a series of working sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And we've focused on developing good relationships with all these people. And in fact, we even have a member of our group, a couple of members of our group. One is in the House of Delegates, and one is in the Senate, which are the two, sections of our legislature, and that's really helped us a lot. And I'll talk about that in a second. Also, we've established grassroots awareness through press releases. We've had a number of press releases, and we're getting millions of views on those. So that's really good. We have a communications director that helps us do that.
Okay.
We've had public sessions with voters, and we participate in podcasts like this one to spread the word. One of the big accomplishments that we've had is and I don't know if this has been done in other states or not, but we've established a legislative caucus that is devoted to election integrity. And so, for example, we have we have several dozen of the legislators that are on a chat with us, so I can text them when we find issues in other states, right? And we evidence of fraud, et cetera. So it's not something you can't change minds all at once. It happens over time, and so we're able to keep hitting them with all these things that are going on in other states, and that's raising their awareness. Because one of the big issues with the legislature is you have to have courage to make changes, right?
Yes.
And so the more fraud and evidence that we can show them, the more they have courage to do the right thing and get our elections all transparent and secure. Okay, we partner with several national and state groups uh, for example, they help us, national and state groups, and we also use them for resource availability. For example, we have partnered with the Election Integrity Network. I don't know if you're aware of them at all. That's Cleta Mitchell's group,
Is that the
right?
one out of Texas?
It's actually let's well, they started in Virginia,
Okay.
okay, and then they went nationwide. But we have a weekly call with them, and we've partnered with Election Integrity, for example, on a press release to support the SAVE Act in Congress, which is, as your listeners may know, we that was passed in the House, and now it's going to the Senate.
Do you think it's going to pass the Senate with those five Republicans over there that were four plus Mitch McConnell?
Yeah, that's a big question mark, Lucretia. And so if it doesn't pass, and I asked this question today, we might be able to attach it to the reconciliation bill. So we'll see how that goes, but we just have to keep fighting and try to convince people to do things.
Okay.
So we also work with True the Vote. True the Vote has a website called IV3 where they have all the registration data in the country and they point out where there are invalid addresses, invalid registrations. So we work with them and we have people in each county to do that, to work with them. And then you can challenge individual registrations with the county clerks.
Okay.
We've also worked with Fight Voter Fraud. That's Linda Sinkowitz's organization. They actually helped us quite a bit in terms of identifying people, voters who had voted in another state and in West Virginia in the same election. And so we sent that information out to all the county clerks. So we're trying to seed the ground in a positive way, like with the county clerks and the Secretary of State and so on, so that we all cooperate to make sure that this goes well.
Okay.
There are two local organizations, MOVCAC, which is like if anybody knows West Virginia, it's Parkersburg and Marietta, Ohio. It's an organizations around the Mid-Ohio Valley. Now go well beyond election integrity. They deal with all kinds of things, vaccines, et cetera. But we have several of their members in our group.
Okay.
And then there was a group based data West Virginia that's been working for about 3 or 4 years in West Virginia, and we're now cooperating with them. That's only a couple of people, but they have some really good IT skills, and so they found some significant issues in the registration database. So we're working with them to spin up our registration audit center that is just coming online now, so that we can work with True the Vote and them to find and correct invalid registration records, because fraud always starts in the registration system. That's where it starts, because that's where you have phantom voters that can be pulled in during the time of tabulation.
Okay.
Okay, our principles and we let our campaign all around to build upon election transparency. Right. So right now we don't have transparency in a lot of ways. We definitely don't have transparency in tabulation.
Mm-hmm.
Once you fill out your ballot, you stick it in a machine and that's it. You never see it again. Right. And so it's very important that we have complete transparency. And we've seen this happen with the Trump administration, that they're really working on transparency. So we need the same thing in every state in election integrity. We've identified many vulnerabilities and we're working to mitigate those through legislation. We're cleaning up invalid registrations and through our press releases and sessions with the public, we disseminate what are those vulnerabilities and what do we need to mitigate those vulnerabilities. And so we do two things. We support legislation,
Mm-hmm.
working with the legislative caucus, the election integrity caucus, that accomplishes the above, and we oppose legislation that does not. Now, today we had a significant victory. We have endorsed 27 bills in the West Virginia legislature, but there's one that we opposed because they were trying to take away our right to photograph our ballot, right? Because if you can't photograph your ballot,
How do you know if it's
then
yours?
you can't prove that what's in the system is different from what you actually chose in terms of your candidates. So that was a very key thing. So, we worked very hard to oppose this legislation, and one of our members actually spoke against it on the House floor, and it was defeated like 63 to 30. So it's a big thing today. So we're really happy with that. Okay, so what are our next steps? We'll continue to work with True the Vote, Fight Voter Fraud, and our other partners. And today I talked with a person in Ohio, and she's coordinating an effort to have states to work with Doge on registration cleanup.
Okay.
So, all those Social Security numbers, right, that
Yes.
were out there
Yes, sir.
that people think those people are voting, and Doge has said as much, right, that they've actually voted. So they have access to that database. So if we can have them look at our registration system and the Social Security database, we can start to clean up basically fraudulent voters, fraudulent registrations. All right, we're continuing to spin up our registration audit center, and that allows us to do deep queries to the registration system that our various members would want to do. We'll continue to engage all of our election officials in West Virginia on priorities, and we meet regularly with this election integrity caucus. We do have to, we do have to give them a meal. But it's okay to get everybody to participate. And we continue to work with the county clerks to investigate election vulnerabilities. And so I've put our website there,
Yes, sir.
Citizens for West Virginia Election Integrity.org, and there's our Gmail account. So Lucretia, we're probably running out of time, but I'm happy to answer any questions that people have.
No, you're gonna. Anybody? Look, I'm listening. Oh, Dave said, can we have you back on so you can actually take the whole 30 to 40 minutes because I'm sure you just now getting started. So can we
Well,
cancel? You can't but you can't get in election integrity in 20 minutes, sir. It's so complicated.
it's hard for me to talk in 10 minutes. My wife can tell you that.
Well, I'm gonna give you the next time, and I mean, I don't care if it's next week, sometime. Hey, I can see you. He can wave.
I'm taking his office. I'm not at home right now, so I had to borrow somebody's office to do this.
Do you mind coming back next week because there's so much that you can spin into for the 30 and 40 minutes of a segment?
Sure, I'd be happy to do
Because
that.
you could break that down from bullet point to bullet point and bring in other stuff. So, Ed, I want to Stan, you please give Stan or myself, and we want to actually have you on next week so you can have more than just 20 minutes to let us know what's going on in West Virginia and the surrounding states up there. So I would really appreciate it because I feel like you cheated. You cheated by speaking for like you only spoke for 17 minutes, and that's not fair. But sir,
Well, we appreciate the time, Lucretia.
well, I really
And,
would like to have you back because me and my husband and 40 42 other people actually petition our federal government for the redress of our grievances when it came to the 2020 election. But our federal court was in Fulton County, Georgia. So you could tell that didn't go anywhere at all. And with what Pam.
I'm very aware of Georgia and Fulton County, and I've had conversations with Garland Favorito. I'm sure you know him.
Well, I've known Garland for over a decade, and he really got me interested in the election system and election machines when he started teaching me about Diebold and who actually was funding Diebold and where Diebold machines actually came from and how that was bad for the United States. But Mr. Ed Fields, we're gonna have you on again soon. I'm gonna reach out to you, and Dave is too, because I really want to know more about what you do and also about the West Virginia election integrity.
Absolutely, be happy to help.
Thank you, sir. Everybody
Yep.
else, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Go ahead, Dave. Hold on just a second. Hold on. What happened? See, look.